Hey everyone, hi. Happy Small Business Day. Welcome to our special Small Business Day episode of Co-Strategy Studio. I'm so glad you're all here today. I'm Jeanette Mulvey. I am the editor-in-chief of Co, the Chamber's platform for small businesses. Before we get started, I'd like to thank our sponsors, Dell, FedEx, Iron Mountain, and Oracle NetSuite. So, I want you all to just take a moment and think about your very first day or week as a small business owner. It was probably terrifying and exciting and exhilarating. And in the time since, you've had ups and downs and successes and challenges and wins and losses. You've survived a pandemic. And then look around where you are today in this beautiful room, in this beautiful building, and just take a moment to realize what an accomplishment that is. That's what we're here to celebrate today, is you and your businesses. Today, we are joined by experts from the U.S. Chamber of Commerce and small business owners who are all here to do the same thing, and that is to share in your journey, to share their best advice and inspiration for you to help you start, run, and grow your business better than you're doing already. My first guests are two small business owners from here in the DC area. We're going to talk about the challenges that they've faced building their businesses, how they overcame those challenges, and actually the opportunities that it created for them along the way. So please join me in welcoming to the stage Henji Cheung, who is the chef owner of the Queen's English, a Cantonese restaurant serving Hong Kong-style cuisine here in Washington, D.C., and Dawn Hendricks, who is president and CEO of FM Talent Source, a management consulting firm based in Silver Spring, Maryland. Thank you. Thank you, guys. Thank you both for being here today. I'm going to turn this way and face you. Okay. So Henji, we're going to start with you. Just tell us about your business and what just some of the biggest challenges were when you started out.
As a small business, I feel like we all face the same challenge right off the beginning, and it's getting through the legality of actually opening a business. The licensings, the permits, all the paperwork you need to actually open a business in the city. Ooh.
Do we want him to use the handheld mic?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So.
Sorry about that.
Okay. Sure, you can take yours too.
Good. Good. Can we?
We're gonna do it.
Okay.
We're gonna do a do-over.
Great.
Tell us about all the challenges of starting a new. This is what we needed. We needed to just fall apart right at the beginning because now we can just totally
That was
relax.
fine, right?
Okay. So take two. Tell us about all the challenges of starting a new business.
So like all small business, right off the bat, I feel like we all face the same challenge. It's just navigating through the paperwork that you need to actually open a small business. The permits, the license, everything you need to actually operate legally and within the city and the state's laws.
And did you have to mostly do that by yourself?
We did. The business was my wife and I, obviously, but we were fortunate. Where we are in Columbia Heights, there's something called District Bridges. Mm-hmm. District Bridges is a government-funded nonprofit, and what they focus on is community economic development. And we were able to reach out to them, and they were able to point us in all the right direction to make our life a little bit less stressful.
Great. Dawn?
So I would say in addition to that, then once everything is set up, you need to figure out who's going to buy your services. And so being able to go out and kind of not get discouraged by the no's that inevitably will happen as you continue to do this and not losing heart, continuing to figure out how to market your services in new and creative ways are other challenges that we had to kind of push through to be able to really brand ourselves and still be standing here, after 19 years.
Did you say 19?
19.
Wow. Dawn, you specialize in work, in hiring and recruiting people. Can you talk about, so as a challenge, I mean, remote work has become a really big challenge for every kind of business. Can you talk about that, about how that's affected sourcing talent and how that's changed your business?
Yeah, I mean, it's changed it, a full 180. Some of them have been really great, changes, right? Because now that we're in a remote workforce, it has truly kind of broadened out the sourcing pool, right? So no longer do I have to just source for one particular geographic area. I can actually source, across a broader range. And I'll also say the other thing that has helped us is before, you guys remember pre-pandemic, we had to go in person for interviews. So now we're able to have more access to people. We're able to make decisions a lot faster around that. Now, I think that things are changing, right? So it used to be fully remote, and even during the pandemic for us, in my organization, I started hiring people across the United States. I think businesses now are going more to a hybrid model where they want people to come in at least a couple of days. And so now we're starting to see things kind of course correct a bit, but the remote, the hybrid is here to stay. And I think that organizations have had to get really agile in how they're using technology and how they're connecting in with resources and how they're getting creative around connecting with people as we are currently in a what I'll call war for talent.
So, Henji, war for talent, but you can't have remote workers. So how are you making your business attractive?
Overall, for us, I think we're fortunate because my restaurant is a very niche business. So that's been very helpful for us. There's really not much competition out there where they're doing high-end Asian cuisine. And as far as talent go, we're very staff-driven. Our whole restaurant is very staff-driven. To make an example of that is, whenever we make a decision for the restaurant, we make it as a group. And I always say this to my team, just because I have 20 years of experience cooking in the kitchen, combined in the group, we have over 100 years of experience. And we really tap into that. Just because I've done it doesn't mean it's the right way, right? They have all worked in different restaurants, worked under different chefs, different front of the house manager. So everybody has something to bring to the team. And there's no wrong answer, there's no wrong input. We sit down, here's the problem, let's come up with a solution together. And I think that's really important in retaining talent, because I feel like all staff just wants to be heard. They want to be part of the business. They want to be able to make decisions on a greater scale than just being a cook or a server or whatever the title might be.
So I love that. I think that advice could apply to anyone here who's running a business. It doesn't need to be a restaurant, right? Getting that input and making everybody feel like part of the team is essential.
Yeah, I mean, I always like to say, collectively, we have so much experience together. If you don't tap into that, I feel like that's just wasted talent. There's such a library, vast of information within your own team. Why not use it?
So you're talking about how you attract employees, but you mentioned that your business is a very niche restaurant. So how do you think about attracting customers? What is it that makes your business a destination for people? They have thousands of options. How do you get them to come to you?
We do a lot of, so whenever a customer make a reservation with our restaurant, I have my wife and 2 team members spends about 3 to 4 hours a day searching as much information as we can about the guests. And what we're looking for is common grounds, something that when they come into the restaurant, we could try to make a connection with. We call this the Cheers formula, like the sitcom, right, where everybody knows your name. And that's important to us. The second a customer comes in, a guest comes in, and we're able to make that connection, it makes them feel like they're not in a restaurant anymore, but more of a party or a friend's house, right? And doesn't matter if you visit one time or 100 times, it's either the first conversation or the 100th conversation. It's just continuation. And I feel like that just makes it a better opportunity for us to have a more catered experience to the guests.
So I love that answer because I'm sure we all thought he was going to say something about food, right? Like I thought you were going to, right? And it wasn't about food at all. So I think that's just such good advice because it applies to any business, making that connection with customers and making it feel personal. Dawn, we were talking about the challenges of hiring and we talked about the retaining employees. What other, I mean, you spend all day, every day talking to all different kinds of businesses about workplace challenges in general. What are you seeing beyond the remote work piece is proving to be challenging in this time of a war for talent?
Yeah, I mean, I think just that there's more jobs than there actually are people. And so organizations have got to get really creative on how they are attracting and retaining folks. I would say I just attended a workshop just recently on the different generations. So we have all of these generations inside the workplace. And so as the millennials and Gen Zers are now taking over from us Gen Xers, the things that they're looking for and expecting out of their employer are very, very different. And so we have moved from when the tag word for when I was kind of, coming up was work-life balance. I think we're now moving into this space where it's now life-work balance. And so people are looking for a lot more flexibility, a lot more of that connective tissue where their voices are being heard. And so I think employers need to really lean into what their workforce is requiring and figure out creative ways to be able to support and service them.
I'm wondering what kind of advice you have for someone today who starting a restaurant is a notoriously difficult thing to do, and then keeping it running is even harder. So what advice do you have for someone who might want to start a restaurant?
Don't do it. No, in all seriously, my father was also a small business owner. He always tells me, hard work doesn't guarantee success, but if you don't work hard, you're guaranteed to fail. And so, just go out there, work hard. If you get tired, drink coffee, work harder, and just keep going. And, hopefully you get to do what you love and be successful at it at the end of it.
Yeah. So, Dawn, you've been in business 19 years. It's a long time.
Started when I was 10.
What is your advice to someone who is looking to start, not necessarily a business just like yours, but what has been your secret to longevity in business?
I think a couple of things. So I'm like Henji. I'm a third generation entrepreneur, and I think the real key to that is finding a need and filling a need. So seeing that there's an opportunity in the marketplace, a void in the marketplace, and actually going out and fulfilling that need. I think it needs to be something that you are passionate about. I think a lot of people, young people, I have a young son, and it's all about, I want to make more money, 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 money. And I will tell you this, money is not the thing that will sustain your business because business ebbs and flows. You will have good times and you will have bad times. And if money is the only driver, you will drop it like a hot potato. And so you've got to find that thing that you see as significant, and you've got to really lean into being impactful in the space that you want to serve. I will tell you, these titles that we have are very, very fancy. They sound good, but like Henji said, we work very, very hard at what we do. And to be successful at this, you really have to have a servant mentality. You really have to be passionate and care about the people that you're providing the service to.
Henji, we have lots of business owners in the room, right? So we're not talking to people who are just starting out. So presumably they have all made lots of mistakes running their business, and you probably have made a lot of mistakes. Do you have any thoughts about just failure and mistakes in business and being able to recover from it, but also see it as a positive experience?
Yeah, I mean, overall, the business is very tough. We've all been through the pandemic together. That was definitely a big curveball for all of us, small business owner. I don't really focus my energy on that kind of thought. It's a good driver. It's good to have fear that your business will fail, but I wouldn't spend a lot of energy on it. I would just focus on growing, working hard, making sure your business is successful, you're taking care of the people that's taking care of your business, and sooner or later, I feel like it will all come together. Most importantly, you just gotta take care of your business, your staff, and if it fails, it happens. It's fine. You have tomorrow, you'll win another day.
Dawn, I want to ask you actually a slightly different version of the same question. You spend all of your days talking to people about hiring and recruiting and retaining employees. And one thing I think that a lot of business owners don't think about is how do they create an environment where it's okay for their employees to make mistakes? And I think a lot of businesses operate with employees who might not be doing the best they could because they're afraid of making a mistake and the repercussions of that. So what are your thoughts about how to be a boss or a business owner who encourages people to do their best, even if that means they might make a mistake?
Yeah, wow. Interesting. I love that question. We as an organization, I rolled out these things called 10 fundamentals of excellence inside our organization. And so these are the behaviors that we internally want to exhibit to one another and to our customers. And one of the behaviors is check the ego at the door. And so what that means for us is that we want to create safe spaces for people inside our workplace. And I will tell you this, people have this, I guess the ego is rooted in fear 9 times out of 10. And so I am always asking my leaders to understand what are those trigger points? What are those things that are causing you to push that down, that fear down on your employees? And then let us work through that so that that is not there, because mistakes are going to happen. The mistakes actually are the beautiful thing that creates the tapestry for how we grow and evolve and get better. And so we don't want to create an environment where people can't try things out, they can't explore. I like to think of what we do as somewhat of a petri dish. It is a controlled experiment, right? Now, we don't want our whole business to be an experiment, but I don't want people to feel like they can't explore to grow forward, because that's how you catapult from here to here, by trying new things out. And so you've got to create an environment that embraces that. And so some of the fundamentals that we have inside of our organization, I think, sets that up nicely for our team.
Just the 2 minutes we have left, Henji, every business owner is has the thing they're great at and then the thing they're not so great at, and if they're lucky they have employees and they can delegate that. So what are you great at in your business, and what is your worst thing?
I'm really good at making food. I am a terrible business owner, and that's why I married my wife. She is the brains behind it all. She runs the business, she does the wine, she's the som, she controls the front of the house, and I'm just a cook in the back.
Same question for you. What are you great at, and what is the thing you really shouldn't be allowed to do at your business?
Yeah. I think my strength really is as a visionary, right? I think I can see where we're going and put the pieces together and not put them together, but bring the people together to help execute what the big vision is, what the strategy is. What I am not good at is the tactical, little detailed things. So I need people to really focus on the day-to-day things so that I can kind of be at that, big picture level.
Thank you. I asked that question because I just think sometimes we all get caught up in the idea that we should be good at everything. So I feel like that's permission to just be bad at some things, right? And find someone else to do that. So thank you guys so much. It was such a pleasure. And we will exit the stage and allow our next guest to join.
There we go.
Tom, I think we're going Mike.
All right. Jeanette, thank you for showing us the way. We now have, it's always nice to learn from the panel before you. Let me just start by saying I'm a little bit nervous. I'm married to a wonderful small business owner, and she is here today, and she's never been to one of these events before. So if I stutter or sweat a lot, that's because I'm a little bit nervous. I'm Tom Sullivan, and I am pleased to be joined by Neil Bradley and Sara Armstrong for today's Small Business Update. Now, what we're going to focus on today is a little bit Washington, D.C. centric. Both Neil and Sara have remarkable business backgrounds, professional backgrounds on Capitol Hill and in the political world of DC, but we're really going to try to make some connections between what's going on Capitol Hill and how it impacts many of you and many of the folks who are dialing in or viewing online. We're going to touch and focus on some of the most pressing issues facing small businesses today, including inflation, access to capital, more inflation, interest rates, more inflation, supply chain, workforce challenges, and others. So let's just really dive right into the discussion. I'll start with my boss, Neil, which is also why I'm a little bit nervous. We'll start.
Of our bosses.
We'll start with you, Neil. You and I were down in Jackson, Mississippi last week with our Small Business Council, and you heard about some of the most pressing challenges that they're facing. And then you speak with our small business membership a lot. What are some of the most significant issues from the small businesses you met with last week and that you meet with regularly that we're dealing with here in Washington, D.C.?
Well, thanks, Tom, and it's great to see so many friends here today. I think you said it 3 times, but you could have said it a 4th or a 5th time. It's inflation, and we don't have to guess that. We actually have data. We know every quarter the U.S. Chamber, along with our friends at MetLife, survey small businesses from across the country. And we ask them about how they're doing and what their outlook is and what their biggest challenge is. And it wouldn't be any surprise that in Q1 of this year, 54% say the biggest challenge is inflation. It's not the only challenge, however. There's a lot of concern about a recession on the horizon. For some small businesses, depending on the industry that you're in, you may already feel like you're in a recession. So if you're tied to residential real estate, if you're tied to the commercial property market, if you're in transportation and logistics, was with a small trucking company yesterday evening, it is a really tough time right now. In other parts of the business community, it's actually doing quite well. And so if you're more service-oriented, restaurants and hospitalities, demand is really holding up quite strong. I'd say the third concern that we hear is one that, frankly, has been coming up long before inflation started shooting up, and that's the inability to get workers to fill open slots to meet demand.
Well, thank you, Neil. And now we'll shift a little bit from small business owners to the day-to-day that Sara lives here at the U.S. Chamber. Sara is our primary connection with thousands of state and local chambers of commerce, as well as over 500 trade associations. So Sara, same question to you. What are the most pressing and significant issues you're hearing from state, local chambers around the United States.
Well, sure, and thank you. It's great to see you all here and be here today. When I talk to state and local chambers across the country, they're echoing a lot that Neil mentioned. Workforce is the most important thing that they hear from their members. So they have small business members, medium-sized, large business members, and they all equally are looking for workers. They're trying to figure out how to get more people into their communities and utilize the ones that are there and maintain them in their communities. So you think about a chamber, they are focused on economic development. How do we attract more talent, and how do we attract more companies into our communities? So it's almost a bit of a circle in terms of how do you get more people here so we get more workers, and then we have more companies come, but we need the companies to get the workers. And so it's this kind of vicious cycle of trying to make sure that they're supporting the workforce needs. But not only now in terms of what they need today, but what is on the horizon? What is the future of the workforce needs down the road? So as we see changes in how we're working today, and what does that look like tomorrow as AI takes on more of a role and more technology is needed and those skills are needed, they're working and thinking about that future for their communities.
Well, Sara, let's stay with that for just a minute. Is you've obviously identified a major part of the work of our state and local chambers of commerce. Now, we're a little bit biased here at the U.S. Chamber of Commerce. We think that every local or state chamber of commerce is the place to belong to. So keep that bias in mind, please. But Sara, let's just stay on that for a minute and share with these participants what are some of those state and local chambers of commerce doing to lean into those workforce challenges?
Sure. So a couple of things that they're doing is in preparation for the workforce of the future. They're working with a lot of local officials. They're working with high schools, colleges, and tech institutions that are training the future of this workforce. And so trying to help them understand what the needs of the employers are. So they're working across educational lines to say, this is what employers need to see from your graduates in order for them to be successful in their jobs in the future. So that's an important part of those steps that they're taking. But they're also looking for non-traditional workforce. They're looking at maybe retirees who might be able to come back into the workforce. They retired early, but now due to inflation and other challenges, those individuals may be coming back into that workforce. Other places that they're looking, second chance hiring. Those are individuals who've come out of serving for their time, and they're looking for jobs. And a lot of employers have loosened up their restrictions in terms of how they're hiring because they need that workforce, and they're coming in and looking for a matching employer that will help bring them in.
Well, thank you. It's great to hear just how our state and local chambers of commerce are leaning into this pressing set of issues for the small business community. Back to you, Neil. So often we hear about this disconnect about Washington and the real world. And I would suspect sometimes that's frustrating. You have a remarkable career on Capitol Hill. But any of those small businesses who were with us last week in Jackson, Mississippi, know that you do make that connection every day between Capitol Hill and how they are impacted as small business owners. So let's just pretend to continue that conversation from last week. Share with the folks here today, what is that connection between what is going on Capitol Hill and the small business owner in Sapulpa, Oklahoma, for instance?
Great city of Sapulpa, Oklahoma, my hometown, named for Chief Sapulpa. You should come visit. My family's still there, small business owners. If you ever have car repair needs there, we can send you in the right place. You know, let me start by expressing our goal at the U.S. Chamber. Our goal at the U.S. Chamber is for small businesses not to have to spend 5 minutes of time thinking about Washington, D.C. Because if you're spending 5 minutes of time, and unfortunately you're probably spending a lot more, that's time that you're not spending thinking about running your business, meeting your customers' demands, taking care of your employees, contributing to your community, all the things that only you can do. So our goal is for you not to have to worry about Washington. Unfortunately, that's really not an option for a lot of businesses today. So let's talk taxes for a second. We all hate tax day and what it means. But if you think about some of the changes that are going on in Washington, we've been having provisions expire in the tax code that if you're a manufacturing company and you're spending money on research and development or you're buying new equipment, means that the after-tax cost of that research and development or that new investment in equipment has gone up because Washington hasn't figured out a way to continue some expired tax provisions. And that's just money that you can't put back into your business, and that's a real problem. We're very concerned that in a couple of years, the 20% small business pass-through deduction goes completely away. Now, 2025 sounds like a long way away, but you know, Washington has a way of waiting till the last minute and then later before addressing things. And we don't want businesses to have to worry about whether they're going to be hit with what is effectively a 20% tax increase. You mentioned workforce. You know, one of the ways that a lot of small businesses both serve other businesses and customers or meet their own demand is through independent contractors. Someone that comes in and is working for you for a set period of time, but maybe is also working for someone else. It gives a lot of flexibility to employers and to workers. But there's about a mile away from here a building where some people want to change the rules around what constitutes an independent contractor and your ability to utilize them in your business. Let me give you one last one. Everyone's focused on what's going on in the banking industry and access to credit. By the way, that's popping in our small business survey. So when people in Washington are talking about bank regulation and solving all the problems from another layer of solution from Washington, understand what that does is it restricts credit where you live. It means it's harder for banks to make loans. I was just in Jackson, some regional banks there. They're worried about new rules from Washington that won't so much impact their profitability, but means they won't be able to lend to the small businesses in their community in the way that they want to lend. And so this is really how a lot of things in Washington that you shouldn't have to worry about, we're worrying about on your behalf because they really can impact your business.
Well, thank you, Neil. I'm going to stay with you and ask about some exciting new initiatives, and then I'm going to go to Sara and ask how state and local chambers of commerce are leaning into immigration. But first of all, Neil, we launched our Prompt Pay Pledge initiative this week. Can you touch on what that initiative is and why it might be of interest to some of the folks here today?
So, how many of you have spent time chasing down unpaid invoices? Raise your hands. Yeah. So if you invoice, you've probably spent time chasing down someone who owes you money, who has let it go on 30 days, 60 days, sometimes 90, 120 days. What's that mean for you? You're probably already out the expense for the service or the good that you incurred, and you're losing money while the person who owes you money is holding on to what is yours. And so it's not that it's a business practice to not figure out when your payment schedules and your terms are. Businesses should figure those things out for themselves amongst vendors. But our Prompt Pay Pledge that we launched this week from the U.S. Chamber challenges America's biggest businesses to be good partners to their small business vendors and suppliers by committing to pay them promptly, so that you get that invoice, you know when it's going to come in, you know if the terms are 60 days that you're getting it in 60 days. If the terms are 30 days, you're getting it in 30 days. The reason that's important is it's one less thing for you to have to worry about, one less thing for you to have to chase down, but it also means that your business is more profitable because you're not worrying how you bridge that gap between the cash that you've already outlaid for the good or service and the receipt, the income that you're going to be getting from the person that you provided it to. So it's a pretty common sense thing. I was just with a company yesterday afternoon, a couple $1 billion company. They're going to sign today. And they operate in rural America. And they're committed to being good partners to small businesses in their communities. And I expect we're going to have a whole lot more sign.
Well, thank you, Neil. And when you mentioned how important it is to pay small business on time. There was a brave soul here who started clapping. So let's not hold back. Let's just go ahead. Go ahead. Good. There a little bit of a pressure relieving technique there, and I'm really excited about this initiative. It's the right thing to do, and thank you for authenticating this initiative by raising your hand saying, yes, we want our largest clients to pay faster. So thank you. Sara, you're becoming the workforce expert here on this panel, so thank you for that. The U.S. Chamber has just launched its immigration campaign, really pushing Congress to do anything to bring in more legal workers and secure the border. Can you explain a little bit about how excited and energized the local and state chambers of commerce are about this initiative?
Sure, and immigration is something we've been working on for many, many years. You've probably heard immigration reform has been an important topic. But finally, there is this real movement, and it is stemmed basically from the workforce needs. We've had over 400 organizations, about 430, who signed a coalition letter to go to Congress to say, hey, look, our communities need this desperately. And we understand there's an important part of border security as well, and that's part of what we're calling for. But we can do both of those things together. It doesn't mean we can do one or the other. Congress can actually do two things at the same time. And some of the things that are challenging that they do is just as challenging when they don't do anything. And that's what we've been finding over the years is the lack of doing anything on immigration reform has caused a lot of the problems that we have today. There are individuals who are skilled workers who want to come into this country and serve and fill in those roles that we desperately need filled, but the current system is broken and doesn't allow that to happen. Think of all the individuals who come to our colleges and universities from countries all over the world, and then they're sent back home, and those individuals want to stay here and work, but the system's not allowing that. So there's really an important drive. You know, I talked to our Nebraska chamber, and he's really engaged on this topic because they don't have any more bodies in Nebraska to fill these jobs. And it's not about the fact that people aren't working, they don't have the people. And so this is why it's so critically important, and I'm proud of what the U.S. Chamber is doing to try to move this initiative.
Well, thank you, Sara. We're going to shift gears a little bit. I'm thinking back to a conversation I had last week with Harag Kalabishian, the owner of Henry's Coffee, who was telling Neil, you and me, this story about how his coffee shop just outside of San Francisco has been broken into, and that the Walgreens down the street is has things stolen from it almost every week, and that type of crime isn't just unique to their neighborhood; it is happening throughout the United States. And when there is a rising crime rate in businesses large and small, it stifles the small business growth, and it also makes employees even harder to find and keep at their jobs because they don't want to be working in a neighborhood that is experiencing crime. What is your team, I guess, what is our team at the U.S. Chamber doing to address rising retail theft?
Well, first, we should call it what it is. It's an epidemic, and it's unacceptable, and we should say it's unacceptable. You shouldn't have to worry about smash and grab jobs in your business or keeping your employees safe or your customers safe. At the Chamber, we've identified three things that we are pushing to get done. One of them we've already gotten done. First is targeting loopholes that are mainly in state laws. A lot of states, often with good intentions, adjusted the thresholds in which they would prosecute people for theft, and they would set it at $900, for example. Anything less than $900, you wouldn't get arrested and you wouldn't get prosecuted. Well, we started hearing from businesses who were literally watching people come in with a bag and a calculator using their phone and tallying up how much stuff they were going to steal because they knew if it was under $900, no one would do anything to them. We can fix that. We can do and by the way, they would do the same thing an hour later at another store. We can fix that through aggregation laws, et cetera. And we've actually had movement in both red and blue states to do that. what happened to all that stolen stuff? You know, when I was growing up, if you had a thief, what they would often try to do is to go to a pawn shop and get rid of it. So we made that hard. We said if you were going to try to sell something in a pawn shop, you actually had to show your photo ID and say who you were. So if it turned out it was stolen, the police could come find you. Today, the modern equivalent of that is the internet and people selling things anonymously. And so end of December of last year, we got legislation enacted in Congress that requires folks who are selling large volumes of things online to show their identity and share it with the platform. If it turns out that stuff is stolen, we can go find them. And then the third thing is pretty common sense. If we fix the laws, if we've cut off where they can get rid of the goods and we still have some of this, we need prosecutors to do their jobs and actually prosecute these criminals. So those are the 3 areas. We're making progress on one, but those 3 simple things, I think we can begin to turn the tide on this.
Well, thank you, Neil, and thank you, Sara. Let's give a warm set of applause for this panel.
Look at all these people.
Whoa. Yeah. Hi, everyone.
Hi.
So we have some friends out there. Yeah, it's kind of good. So
Special guest.
And we've had a little chat prior to this.
Yeah, we could chat.
We talked a lot.
I'm so delighted to be here with Monte Durham, who gained fame and lots of fans as the co-host and the fashion director for Say Yes to the Dress. You're
Thank
Yes.
you. Thank you. Y'all made that happen. I didn't.
So Monte's success story is such a testament to saying yes to business opportunities at pivotal moments throughout your career, throughout your life. You grew up in West Virginia in a family that didn't have a lot of money, but they were rich in love and support, which was so
Right.
foundational
Yeah.
to your success.
So much.
Yeah, and what I thought interesting is that your knack for spotting opportunities, but not just spotting them, having the chutzpah to seize them, propelled you to a career as a personal shopper right in here in D.C.,
Right.
where you could have stayed put, but you didn't.
I didn't.
So Monte at 32, right, moved to London
Right.
to get his cosmetology degree, right?
Yeah.
And
Crazy, right?
When
Who
that
would
led
do
to-
that?
Who does that?
Right.
And that led to one of the biggest career pivots ever,
It
national TV stardom on Say Yes to the Dress.
Mm-hmm.
And there's so much to talk about here. And
much.
now maybe your biggest career pivot to
Mm-hmm.
date. Monte is a first-time small business owner, like so many of you in the room.
Right.
And during COVID and dealing with an enormous personal loss,
Right.
you launched Salon Monte,
I did.
which is already a
Height of COVID.
profitable,
Yeah, we are so blessed. Thank you.
multi-million
Thank you.
dollar business,
Yeah, we're making numbers I never thought I'd see.
which is very rare. It's
Right.
rare. Okay, so
And you're forgetting, I had no damn idea what I was doing. None. I
So-
just did it.
so we're lucky to get to Monte will share his secrets and your wonderful, actionable, inspiring
Okay,
insights
well,
for growth.
hopefully.
All right, so
All right.
can we go in a little time machine for 2 seconds?
All right, let's do
All
it.
right.
Back out.
So I have to get your name. You grew your childhood in Oak Hill, West Virginia.
I
and
did.
You said something to me that was so moving. Your mother, you called your mother your stairway to the stars.
She held the ladder for me to climb to the stars.
Tell me how she was instrumental to your success.
I'll bullet it, a lot of this, just because I'm Southern and long-winded, right? So I grew up in a house without running water and an outside toilet. And my mother never saw that as a hindrance. She saw it as an opportunity to do better and be better. And I always say she was so brave to step out of that environment. The only thing she knew, with us 4 kids and my father, and moved to here in Virginia for a better opportunity for all concerned. So I look back in that in awe and in wonder. So.
And there's that opportunity word, right? I mean, it's just
Right.
And speaking of opportunity, this is really the running theme, as you know, throughout your life. You said earning your degree in fashion merchandise was the best decision you ever made. How so?
You know, a poor, skinny, effeminate boy from West Virginia that got bullied all through school because of my accent, my effeminacy. I was thin, and I didn't have good clothes. And I thought there's only one way to change it. I got to know about clothes. So I took this course, and I learned about a lot of clothes I could not afford. But I did learn about them. So that was good.
And all those things are just the wonderfulness of you, right? Like that's the.
Okay.
It's
Thank
true.
you. Yeah.
You know.
I mean,
right?
yeah.
It is
Yeah.
pretty cool action sitting here.
Right.
So this is interesting. So then you went back to school at 32. So you made a big career pivot, moving from fashion to cosmetology.
Right.
And I'm curious about, because that could really seem, what would you say to small business owners about making a pivot that looks like a risk, but it's really, there's that word again, opportunity?
Right. So not only was it an opportunity, but I had surrounded myself in no matter what area I was working in with people that hopefully saw the spark in me, believed in me, and motivated me to do better. And that was part of that. You know, they're like, sure, you could do that. And I'm like, oh my God, I've been a personal shopper. I was making good money. I'm around fashion and clothes. I could buy some things, you know. And I'm thinking, I'm risking all of that to go to London for 6 weeks to learn to do hair. But if I knew I was going to do it, I had no money. I had to borrow money for my plane ticket to get over to London.
You know, I want to get
It's
just,
crazy.
but I know that you have a
Right?
supportive, loving.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I just had no
That's
idea.
right.
Again,
Shout
I
out.
had no idea what I was doing. I just did it.
But there's something, if you had to put in like a few words, and we didn't talk about this. What is that thing? A lot of people have supportive parents. A lot of people, they don't do that. What is that quality that?
You know, I think a lot of it came from where I was raised, right? And I saw how hard my cousins were working. You really just want people to be proud of you and be proud a lot of ways. I mean, of the man I was raised, right? I want my parents and grandparents always to be proud of the man they raised. But I also want them to see that we did do better. We made better. And so that was a lot of pivotal in my information. You know, I want mom and dad to be proud.
Motivated by love, right? Motivated by love. So your career took a major pivot.
Oh,
when you
major.
landed. So you had
no-
this screen test, right? You took the screen
which
test.
I hated.
But obviously
And I
they
looked
didn't hate
awful.
it. But you.
No, you won't believe it. So on the screen set, you know how we do, you know, look at a dress or something. I don't know anything about a camera. I know nothing about mics. I know nothing about any of this. And I'm on, and they're like, okay, you have to direct this bride to try on a dress. I'm like, do you like your dress? Would you like to try on another dress? The fitting room is over there. Oh my God. What they saw is unbelievable.
No, but-
Because I'm telling you, I look at it and I'm like,
But you know what?
Lord,
That
have
is-
mercy.
To me, that's a lesson in authenticity, right? Like just
Right.
be you, freaking be you.
Yep.
But still, given who you are, and you know, everybody was Monte when you came in. A lot of that kind of career pivot or the really game-changing business move can really seem unattainable to the everyday folk.
Right.
So I want to ask you if you could think about how you know, for small businesses, how do you what does it take to make a game-changing leap? You know, a career, a business leap. What does it take?
I think it takes stupidity on a lot of part. oh, sure, I can do this. And then you're doing. And another thing, I've never done it before, right? That was a driving factor. I've never owned a business before. You know, I'm like, I'm going to do this. I mean, what? It can't hurt. I will tell you, working with TLC, Warner Brothers Discovery, you learn osmosisly about timing. We have to show up at a certain time. You had to be dressed a certain way. We could only spend so much money. Time is money. You learn that when you're filming. So it prepared me mentally, unbeknownst to me, osmosisly. I'm learning a skill set that I could put towards a business. Absolutely. And I worked with Bridals by Lori. She runs that bridal salon. I was on that floor a lot. I saw the struggles. I saw the hours, and she would say, okay, we're going to be over. You know, and it started, we got to pave the parking lot. Oh my God, that's, you know, and at one point you realize the price of doing business, buying a nice bag to put that product in, right? Having those windows cleaned, fresh flowers at the front. That's not bringing me any money in my salon, but it brings me image. People know. I set a standard. So.
Well, the details, the richness in the details.
Right.
How has fame impacted you?
Got a
Laughing.
timer.
I know.
But they went over, we can go over.
She's a troublemaker.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
All right. You know what? I tell everyone that how blessed am I to be on the show, work with my best friend. I've traveled. I covered the royal wedding. I talk about not knowing what I'm doing. I covered the royal wedding. I was at the Abbey when Kate Middleton went in as a commoner and came out as a princess. How it's affected me the most and how I've used it the most, those causes that are the most dear to me. Animal rescue, when I put my name to that. I'm hospice trained. I do hospice work. When I do those fundraisers, our USO members, if you have no idea what the USO does for our servicemen and women abroad and stateside, it is amazing. Saving green spaces. So whenever I lend my name to any of those that are so important to me, it gives a little kick. It brings a little recognition. So I am so grateful for that.
And it's something that's meaningful to you. So,
very meaningful.
So speaking of the hospice, and
yes.
You launched Salon Monte 10 days after your father passed.
Yeah,
at the height of the pandemic.
Yes.
You had no business experience.
None.
Yet.
It
is a profitable, multi-million-dollar business.
It is.
What's that about?
I don't know.
No, seriously.
I don't know.
Yes, you do.
I don't know.
You're going to tell them.
Okay, I'm going to tell you.
So some of the secrets.
I have never worked
secrets.
so hard in my entire life. And I am soon to turn 67. So I did not think.
Freaking young.
Woo. And no work done, unlike Lori. But anyway, I mean, she's had everything pulled on but her feet. So I just dived into it. I found a location I didn't want, but that's where it worked for me. So I'm like, okay, we'll do it. I went to every small business meeting they had in Old Town Alexandria. I know liquor laws. I met everybody. I shook hands. So when I called and the pandemic struck, I couldn't get a license. I couldn't open my business, but I knew who could. Everybody, they met me. They knew my drive. They knew what I was bringing to the table. And they made my business to give me temporary license. So I was struggling. My father, I'm hospice trained, passed away 10 days prior. So we couldn't take him anywhere. So we were on a vigil with that. We opened, oh my God, I think back about it. But 2 days before we opened, they were painting. If you have an opportunity, please stop in and see the salon. It's very small. We'd love to show you around. The ceiling is red, and they were painting it and pulled the sprinkler out. We had a flood in the salon 2 days prior to opening.
Wow.
Oh my God. The night before we opened, the water got cut off in the building. But anyway, we opened with the mayor cutting the ribbon. It's in COVID. We invited 75 people we knew, 250 showed up. in the street. It was great. It created a line on the street. Everybody's like, what's going on there? Who's going in there? What's doing there? And we opened, our first quarter was the last quarter. We were 30% above projection.
Well,
So, wow.
So that you can give a secret to all these lovely small business owners.
Right.
What's the biggest secret to why you were 30% above? And why is your business profitable?
I am there. We're open 7 days a week. I work on the average of 65 hours a week when I'm there. You'll see me cleaning the windows, taking out the trash. You'll see me washing and shampooing hair. You may get a little wet, but I can do it. What I attribute it to, I listen to my staff. Now I only have 13. Our stylists are all hold a master's degree in haircut and coloring. So I don't have to, my fault is I'm not a good micromanager. I hire you, I expect you to do your job. I don't want to have to tell you to do your job. So I don't have time for that. That's one thing I'm not going to babysit you. But I will tell you, I am very good at inspiring, motivating, and encouraging you to do a better job. I make sure you have every tool you need in that salon to be successful. So if you're not, it's on you, not me. I greet every guest. I talk to everybody. I'm full of stories, as you can imagine, and I entertain everyone. But I'm there, and they know they can call me at 2 a.m. I'm in labor. Okay. So when are you come back to work? That was my question to her. I'm going to the hospital. I said, okay, today's Wednesday morning. You'll probably have the baby this afternoon. Should I schedule your next client Monday? It's just like, what? I'm just trying to protect the business. But anyway.
So hiring a smart, good staff, not micromanaging, but also giving them the resources to succeed and being fun, right?
Yeah, I like to have fun. I'm a prankster. I like to have fun.
Fun needs to be a thing. So I wanted to talk about your products because your salon, your salon Monte was you stopped selling them online.
Yep, it didn't work for me.
And you're selling them in the stores. And they're selling really well.
They're selling well. I'll share with you. We put them on Amazon. You know, the algorithms, one day you're up, one day you're not. You're competing. You have all this stuff. We were having issues. People were saying they never got the product. We had a signature. They did get it. Amazon wasn't going to fight it. So we were taking these hits on the product. I go, oh no, we're pulling it out. With Amazon, and we were into it probably about 10 months, my retail sales that came to me were like 28,000. There's 5 products in the line and a travel kit. I sold, last year, we sold $45,000 out of the salon, and we're the only one carrying it.
But how did you make that model work? Because that's an anomaly, as some hairstylists will tell me.
Real simple. It's the only product with Gary. I mean, if you're going to buy anything, right,
but it's
no.
only the exclusivity of being in the store.
Exclusivity,
That's
right.
the thing.
Yeah, you have to come. You can call and we'll sell it to you. And the products are kitschy. There's 5 products. I'm going to do this real quick. It's funny. Because our mission statement is, and it's important to have one, you do not need a lot of product if you have the right product. That's our mission statement. There's 5 products. Shampoo, a conditioner. Women want their hair full. There's a natural root lift. They want it smooth and no frizz. Taming balm, Everhold hairspray. On the bottle, it's M, moisturizing shampoo. O, one-step conditioner. N, natural root lift. T, taming balm. E, Everhold hairspray. You're going to get the full Monte.
Oh my God.
It's right on the bottle.
Look at that. All right. First control. All right. Your best.
Oh, we got 13
I know,
seconds.
My God,
I'm
Monte,
nervous.
What's happening? What's
Okay.
going on? Okay. Your best actionable piece of advice for small businesses
All right,
that you
my
wish
best.
that somebody had told you.
I do wish this, and anybody that
Yeah.
goes into a salon can understand this. So the best bit of advice that could have been given to me, always expect the unexpected. I mean,
Amen.
seriously. I go in with one plan, and you come out with blue hair, and you meant yellow. Okay, well, you're still on the colorway. You know. I wanted my hair cut slight, not long. I mean, just expect, I mean, communication is a key, and it's always worked from that. So that would be the one advice
That's
I
wonderful.
would give.
So we're in the red like we thought we'd be, but this was
Okay.
such a delight, and you're wonderful. I'm
You're
grateful.
sweet to me. You're
Thank you,
sweet to me.
everybody. Thank you.
No. Thanks, everyone. Continued success to us all.
Thank you,
Thank you.
everyone.
Thank you.
When Barbara asked Monte what his secret, I thought she was going to say, "What is the secret to that skin?" I think the takeaway today is that your next product line should be a skincare product, right? That's what Monte should do next. To our audience at home, do not walk away from your computer because I have something exciting to say. First, I'd like to thank our sponsors today, Dell, FedEx, Iron Mountain, and Oracle NetSuite. And I'd like to thank all of you in the room. I'd like to thank the Chamber Events team and our catering team for our wonderful lunch and for the after party we're about to attend. But before we go to the after party, I would like to introduce two more special guests. We have TJ and Hadley Douglas. Could you guys stand up for just a second? And there's a reason that I'm introducing them to you. So this is TJ and Hadley Douglas. They own a business in Boston. They own a business in Boston called the Urban Grape. It is a wine establishment. And in 2021, they were the winners of the U.S. Chamber of Commerce's Dream Big Awards. You guys can sit down now. So welcome to TJ and Hadley. So this is why they are here and why I asked them to stand up. Because today, I am announcing a very exciting new initiative here at the U.S. Chamber. We have reimagined our Dream Big Awards to a new contest for small business owners. It is launching right now. It is called America's Top Small Business. We will be recognizing top small businesses across the entire United States, and 7 of them will be named finalists, and they will be joining us here in October for our America's Top Small Business Awards. On that day, 1 of them will be chosen as America's Top Small Business and will win a $25,000 grand prize. This contest opens today. You can apply right now by going to Grow with Co., which is our website, and you'll see a link there. For those of you watching at home, we'll be dropping a link in the chat. For those of you in the room, we have cards out there with QR codes that you can scan. I encourage all of you to enter, and I encourage you to encourage your friends to enter. We would like as many small businesses as possible to have the opportunity to be recognized. Thank you all again. It was great to see you in person. And let's go to the after party where you can meet and greet all of our guests, including TJ and Hadley. Thanks so much, everybody.